Okay, so shalom. So, man, I'm a little stressed out. Okay? I want to read a verse to y'all. This message is titled, you can hear me better with the windows up. This message is titled, Random Talk. Okay? Random Talk. Galatians 4:16. Okay? This message is titled, Random Talk. Galatians 4:16. Now, I want to read a scripture. This message is titled, Random Talk. Galatians 4:16. Let me read a scripture to you all. I want to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 18. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 18. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. So the more that I understand and the more that I can discern, right, the more grief. Okay? Now, why? Because I get frustrated that the rest of you all cannot discern these things as well. Now, I'm not angry with anybody. I want to ask you all a question. I'm not going to ask the question. I'm actually just going to tell you. So, first of all, right, I don't know what you all want to call it, right? All right. Now I want to go to the first chapter of Ecclesiastes. The first chapter of Ecclesiastes. Okay? All right. I wonder if I should actually read it from here. Or should I read it from the ESV Bible? Because the ESV Bible is going to give you all a better understanding. Okay? Listen very carefully to what I'm about to say to you all, okay? This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David. So, this is Solomon talking, okay? The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, say the preacher. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes, and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises, and the sun goes down, and hastens to the place where it rises. The moon blows to the south, and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind. The wind blows to the south. Now, I don't want to lose my train of thought, but I want everybody to pay very careful attention. I just want to make an interlude really quick. This is going to be a lengthy message, so I have time. So, Ecclesiastes is saying that all is vanity. Okay? That's the topic of the discussion at hand. Now, I don't want to lose track of anything, but remember what this message is titled. Random talk. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there, but I'm going to do it in an orderly fashion. I'm not going to confuse any of you. I promise. So, all is vanity is what he's speaking about. But I want to stop for a minute. He says, verse 5, this is Ecclesiastes, the first verse, and he stops at verse 5 and he says, the sun rises and the sun goes down. It hastens to the place where it rises. Now, everyone use the term sunrise and dawn, right? From dusk, meaning sunrise, and dawn, meaning the sun goes down. That's all a term that we all use it, right? Everyone, right? I want you to think about that term for a minute. Now, where do we all get it from? Well, we got it from just the fact that the sun actually does that motion. So, a lot of people have been deceived by NASA. And to an extent, well, Nassau is actually a Hebrew word. Nassau. N-A-S-A. The letter N in its modern form, the letter A in its modern form, and the letter S in its modern form. But the pronunciations and the vowel points are all Hebraic. So in other words, they're in their modern form, but their pronunciations are Hebraic pronunciations, and the A's vowel point is also Hebraic. The word truth, T as in toy, R-U-T-H, truth, is also a word in Hebraic form. All of those letters, their pronunciation, and their vowel points all extend over 5,000 years into the 5,000 or 4,000 years ago into the Hebrew. Same thing with Satan, S-A-T-A-N. Those are all Hebraic pronunciations and vowel points. Okay, let me not confuse you all. However, the word Nassau is also Hebraic perception, and it means, one of the definitions means to deceive. Nassau has told you all, and still to this day telling you all, that the sun is about 96 million miles away from the planet Earth, and that the Earth is spinning like this, and it's at the same time it's revolving around. So the Earth is doing two types of rotations. It's spinning like a basketball, allegedly, and it's also running around the sun at however amounts of thousands of speed, thousands of miles per hour, and we don't feel shit. Now, this message is not about the sun, the moon, and the stars, okay? I just want to interlude. Don't worry, I'm going to come back down to your level, and I'm not saying that derogatory. What I mean is, let me clean that up for many of you, because I know a lot of you are very sensitive. Spiritual things must be spiritually discerned. I don't mean it in the term where many of you are very intelligent, which is the reason why I'm bringing this message in the first place, because I think you all can handle it. In fact, I know you all can handle it. So don't let the little child in you get upset about what I just said. When I said bring it back down here, I mean let me bring it back down to a carnal level, because many of you simply don't believe and don't discern spiritual things. That's your choice. You could if you want to, but you choose not to. So, why am I saying this? Because many of us, he's going to go ahead and say, the sun rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place. The sun rushes, it hastens, meaning the sun actually has a place where it goes and resides. Nassau didn't tell you that. This is not the only scripture, and that's not what this message is about. So I'm not going to go into detail, because now that would be very confusing and unnecessary. I'm not going to go into detail about the sun or the moon or the stars. Okay? But I just want you all to understand something. King Solomon was probably the third wisest. A lot of people would like to think that he was the wisest man that's ever lived. No. Okay? Paul had more wisdom than Solomon, and I'm going to prove that to you all. I'm not going to do it now, but I'm going to eventually prove that to you all. Possibly Enoch as well. That's debatable right now, because I know Enoch ultimately became more knowledgeable, but we're talking about in terms of living on this planet. I don't know. Solomon might have him beat, but that's irrelevant. Solomon, who was extremely wise, to make the wisdom of myself and you all look like the wisdom of infants, just explained to us that the sun rises and sets and rushes, it hastens back to its place. And there are other scriptures that you can look up for yourself, for those of you who are interested. There are other scriptures that you can look up that can verify this, not only in the Bible, all throughout the Bible, and in the New Testament, majority in the Old Testament, and in the New Testament, but also in some of the lost scrolls. And if you want to go to the book of Enoch, it'll explain to you that both the sun and the moon goeth in and out of portals. You know, like those things y'all don't believe in that y'all see in sci-fi movies. And you're so desensitized to believe that portals are not realistic. But they are very so real. And you might want to research the purpose of CERN. CERN, C as in cereal, E as in Edward, R as in real or rat, and N as in nobody. CERN. You might want to research that project. And you'll understand that portals are very real. And you all will see these things come to light in the very near future. Your minds are on a very low frequency because that's what it's cool to be on. It's cool to have, it's thorough and it's gangster and it's not sucker shit and it's not cornball stuff to have your minds on a lower level. Because that's the safety zone. That's a comfort zone where 90% of you like to stay. And that's okay. Because just because you choose to stay there don't mean that many of you secretly, without letting everyone know, many of you can rise your frequency. I know you can. Many of you can do it. You choose not to because it's not popular. That's why I wanted to stop there. So a lot of people, NASA would like to say that the sun is a big ball of fire. It's a star. Maybe you can call it a star per se, maybe. But it's in the center of our so-called galaxy, and all the planets orbit around the sun. That's false. The sun is nowhere near the size as this planet Earth. It's a little star, little ball of light. I mean, certainly it's huge enough, but it's nothing compared to what NASA is saying, nor is it out of the atmosphere of this planet. It travels in and out of portals. That's when it comes out of the portal. That's when it calls, when he says rise. And when it goes into the portal, that's when it's called set. So we got that from the Bible, the term rise and set. Why? Because it's actually that. It's the sun that's actually rising and setting. The sun itself is moving and not the planet Earth. Okay? Now, when I go to Rise, and once again, I want to clarify this, okay, and then I'm gonna move on with the lesson. When I go to Rise, it doesn't really pretty much give me too much information, except for that it says Rise, right? But let's go to Set, okay, or let's go to what's the word? Goeth down. The Hebrews 9:35. It's interesting because it says to go in and out, to pass, to depart, to enter, into, enter, entering, entrance, to grant. So the Son is entering. It's entering into, and it's entering something. When it says to set, it's actually entering something. Stop believing everything that you hear on social media, in science, on the news, from niggas, from women. Stop just saying okay with any and everything, and do your own research. Now, let's move forward. Many of you would think that was a waste of time. I beg to differ. That was a point well made. So he says, all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? Then it goes on to say that the sun goes down and it rises, and the wind blows to the south and goes around to the north, and around the wind goes. And on its circuits, the wind returns. All the streams run into the sea, but the sea is not full. All streams run into the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. All things are full of weariness. That doesn't need a comment. Okay? Let me go on with the message. A man cannot utter it, meaning a man cannot understand it. You and I, these things and these matters are too high for us. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. I need to repeat that, because many of you would like to say the slavery that allegedly began in 16th slavery. First of all, slavery been started and it recycled. I already made a message about that. Slavery began 3,500 years ago in Egypt. Okay? That was the first slavery. All right? Well, no. Well, yeah. Well, no, but believe it or not, it wasn't. But we won't get into that right now. It was the first, it was. It was the first form of slavery according to what slavery is according to the scriptures. But anyway, so people will say, well, that's slavery, and we're only talking about the slavery that you see on the TV, like the Roots, because that's as far as back as many of you can go. Why? Because that's spiritual things must be spiritually discerned, even though the slavery that you see on TV, such as Roots and all these other slavery movies that came out referring to the slavery that allegedly began in 1619, that wasn't the first slavery. But that's the slavery we're going to talk about for the sake of the argument, because that's the slavery that you all are aware of. Why? Because that's the slavery that they want to keep reminding you all about. And you get mad and you get angry, as if any of you have a time machine when you can go inside that time machine and go back and make any type of changes. Oh, they put us through this. I know what they did. I know exactly what they did. They were given permission from Christ to do it because us niggas are disobedient. And he's going to give them permission to do it again. And this time it's going to be worse. Why will it happen again? Because Solomon is going to say, what has been is what will be. And what has been done is what will be done. See, there's nothing new under the sun. All the things that happened in the past are going to come back one more go around. One more time. Are you preparing? You telling everybody? See, that's not the mentality you should have. Many of you don't know what I'm doing. But that's really irrelevant. In any event, I'm not the one that's going to guide you through all of this. Christ is. Let that be your concern. He will raise up hunters, but my job is to warn you. That's what I'm getting paid to do. Now, I'm not getting paid money. I'm getting paid something much greater than money. To let you Negroes know that there's nothing new under the sun, and that you all should be very wary of the times to come. But in any event, that's still not what this is, the basis of this argument. It's just a lot of meat and potatoes in this scripture. So then he's going to say, there's nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which is said, see, this is new? So in other words, can you say that, look, this is new? It has been already in the ages before us. There is no remembrance of former things. Now, many of you say, well, listen, man, we are going into the age of technology, artificial intelligence, spaceships, all of these. It's already happened. They have ancient flying machines. Ancient. See, the Transformers, those movies are very, very informative. They're letting everybody know. Okay? They're letting everybody know that, and now if any of you have ever watched the Transformers, you know that the Transformers, those robots are actually ancient robots. Now, a lot of women don't like Transformers. Some women do. But that's one of the cartoons. Well, there were cartoons before that, but I did like the Transformers, and I was going on a teenager when that came out. But most men my age and younger, or my age and younger, slightly younger, we watched the Transformers when we were younger. I even watched the movies today. The last one was garbage, but the first four were pretty good. They kept getting better, right? So if you've noticed anything about these movies, these robots, the spirit of these robots are ancient. It's not something new. Well, there are flying machines that have been found, they say, on the moon, allegedly. They've never been to the moon. I promise you that. It was a hoax. They've never been. Why? Because the moon moves. It moves, just like the sun moves in and out of portals. Ecclesiasticus, Solomon just told you that the sun moves. So what do you think the moon does? I'll be back.